Alright everyone, hello and welcome. So today I'm going to be talking about the Monster Hunter World Iceborne beta. Not the full expansion, that doesn't come out till later, but PlayStation 4 has a beta going on. Right now you have to download it through the PS4 as a separate thing, and that's kind of annoying, but the actual beta itself is pretty fun. Now, the question is the beta itself actually worth playing and going through? Well, maybe. So, just for the record, I am actually a big fan of Monster Hunter World. It's actually probably my favorite Monster Hunter game, period. Besides that, I'd probably say Tri-Ultimate. I know a lot of people would say Generations Ultimate, but I waited for the English release on the Switch, which meant I played it after World, which made it really hard for me to get into. Love the monsters and everything like that, but I also miss the underwater combat. I'm one of the few people who actually likes the underwater combat, so I know. But anyways, moving on to the actual Iceborne beta. There's a few things that are good, and a few things that are bad, and some things that just seem like it might not be worth it. Now, the good things. The monsters in the new world. Oh, so good. So, not only is the Hoarfrost Reach beautiful, I mean, it's fracking gorgeous, but not only is it beautiful, but it's actually, I actually really like the layout of it. There's a lot of the zones have lots of different ways of connecting with each other. Some of the other maps, you have the thing where there's like one entrance, one exit to each zone, to where, while yes, there's not a loading screen, you kind of feel just like there's, very clear, like you go from this area to this area. Whereas this one, there's a lot of interconnectedness. So the actual arena itself is well designed. I also like the variety of the areas. There is actually good variety, not only in appearance, which there's forested areas, empty snowy areas, icy cliffs, caves, weird corpsey caves. So there's some good variety that way. But on top of that, there's variety in the sense that the actual layout and mechanics. So there's the areas that have deep snow. There's the areas that have lots of traps. There's the area where you're fighting Tigrex, and there's glacier parts of the cliff that fall down. So there's that. There's also the fact that there's that whole extra avalanche area that creates a shortcut, lets you get through there. So that's cool. Overall, map great. The other thing that's cool is the fact the monsters themselves are great. So Tigrex, Banbaro, I'm blanking on his name, the new snow fish dude, like Giratotis. What's his name? His name's Beatotis. Not that hard to remember. Beatotis. There's also Nargacuga, which is a cool secret thing because he's not always there. For those of you who don't know, if you go into the Jagras level, every once in a while he's there. You can tell from reading the description of the mission, it'll say something about an extra monster. So that's cool. On top of that, though, the actual fighting of these monsters is cool. So Tigrex, I will say he's a little disappointing. I know it's one of those things in your head. I had the same idea when I fought the Angry Pickle Deviljho when I fought him in World for the first time. It's that memory of him. He always just seemed more difficult, more intense, more violent. Tigrex is kind of the same thing in this one. I didn't have as much difficulty with him as I was, expecting. I'm like, oh, it's Tigrex. It's going to be horrible, and he's going to destroy me. It'll be wonderful. I beat him without carding once on my first try, with plenty of time to spare. Not to say his fight wasn't fun. His fight was tons of fun. He's constantly going at you. He interacts really in really interesting ways with the environment. There's one area where he's biting onto crystals and he gets stuck. So he's a fun fight, but he's just not as hard as I was expecting. The other one that I, was kind of the same idea is Nargacuga. Nargacuga is a ton of fun. With that said, I will say Nargacuga is more in line of the level I was remembering. So Nargacuga, I remember being a pain in the butt because it's so fast and jumping around and things like that, but overall not the most punishing fight. I would say that's pretty accurate to how he is in World, at least within the beta. Things can change, but Nargacuga I felt more in line with where I was, but he's about the same difficulty as Tigrex in my opinion. Banbaro was so much fun. So first off, Banbro is an amazing design. I love just the general look. I love the big horns. I love that body shape. I'm a big fan of Duramboros. I'm going to go with Duramboros. Duramboros is just one of my favorite fights in general just because of that body structure and his spinning and things. So Banbro doesn't do the whole mountain ballerina spinning around thing. Instead, his whole thing is with his horns. And if you have played some of the older games, so you remember Duramboros, he would do that move where he would kind of put his head down and slide along the floor. Well, imagine doing that, but then adding something along the lines of like, you know, Tigrex's giant boulders. He's now pushing the giant boulders along, or he's grabbing the trees and the trees are smashing everyone. That is a ton of fun. But even like the body structure, for me, the design of a monster, not just the fight, but the actual look of the monster matters a lot. And I just love the look of Banbro. So I have my little miniature of Duramboros here, and you notice, so he has the short little arms, the legs, the horns, a long tail with kind of a club at the end. So with Banbro, he has bigger horns that can scoop things up. He still has the legs and the arms, and then his tail just sticks straight out. He doesn't really use his tail too much, but he has that same body structure, and I just really like that. I like that thick end at the tail to kind of balance them out, especially with Banbro having the real big horns. He needs that bulk on his tail in order to keep himself kind of balanced. I like those little details. I like the thoughts about that kind of a thing. I will also say another thing about the map that I enjoy of Hoarfrost Reach is all the endemic life. I'm a weirdo who likes to go around and collect all the endemic life. I'm the guy who's gotten all the endemic life achievements from catching all the rare endemic life. And the new little monkey guys, they're just awesome, and they have the fun little behavior. Like they don't only just sit in the hot springs; they'll do other things, like they'll like curl up into a little ball and float in the hot spring, which I just think is super cool. There's actually a few other endemic life. So there's the new beetle, the snow beetle. I think they're called rime beetles, and they roll up snowballs that give crystal burst. I like their coloring; they're kind of white and pinkish. On top of that, there's these penguins off in the distance that we can't catch, which drives me nuts, but I think they're super, super cool. I like the penguins. I also found that there is this type of bird that when you first leave the entering camp and go into the first zone, there's a gap that leads into another zone that has the avalanche ability. In the gap there, if you go towards the end of the time limit, at least on the Banbro one, if you go towards the end of the time limit, in that gap, there's these birds flying around. They're called stonebills, which are super cool. But what's really cool is they like scream at big monsters that are trying to pass through if they disturb them, to try to like shoo the big monsters away. Like the little blurbs of information, super interesting. So I think they're cool. I like the endemic life. I don't know if you can hear the beeping from the crane, so I'm going to keep going. And if you can hear it, then I'll leave this part in. If you can't hear it, I'll probably just edit this out. Okay, it's beeping again. Now, in terms of rewards for what you're actually playing, the main reward is just getting to experience some of these fights early. You're not getting a lot out of it, in my opinion. Like, you get these little bundles of items and goods for completing each of the mission. You get one bundle for the completion of each. They're cool, but nothing crazy insane. It's like health stuff. There's like some commendations, things like that. Nothing too special, nothing too insane. So you're not really missing out too much if you're not playing this and completing them. But it's a nice little thing if you do. And that's kind of the big thing about this whole thing in general, in my opinion, with the whole beta is it's fun experiencing the new thing, exploring the new world or new area, the Hoarfrost Reach. It's fun finding the new monsters, but it doesn't have that same draw because you're not keeping any of the stuff that you're getting from the monsters. You're not collecting any new materials. You're not able to save any of that kind of progress. So it feels kind of pointless. I don't know. I don't know. It's still fun. Like the actual gameplay, moment to moment, is fun. But it doesn't have that same draw that the rest of Monster Hunter has. Oh yeah, I'm going to get more powerful and grind for gear, and I'm exploring this new world, and you're not getting any of the new story. You're not getting any of that stuff. So it feels kind of like a bit of a waste of time. Like I'd rather just hop back into regular world and go grind some more gems or something like that, or decorations. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy here, but I like that whole thing. The other thing that's really irritating is they don't have like an expedition mode. So when you're trying to explore, each one of the missions only has like a 20-minute time limit, so you have 20 minutes to explore and that's it. I'm one of those guys who wanted to like dig around through each little nook and cranny and get in real close on every little detail, and they're like, oh, time's up. I'm like, oh, come on. So I had to just keep loading in and re-going, and I'm like, I just want to keep looking. So that was kind of weird. I don't know. It just doesn't have all the extra appeal that World has, which when you take it out, it really makes you appreciate how much goes into World and how much is actually really fun about World in that sense. But, you know, I still had fun with it. If you feel like doing it, it's great. I also, though, can understand, and I was even debating this for a little bit, is maybe I wish I hadn't played it just so that way everything could have been fresh when I went into the game, and the game's going to present everything in a much more complete, polished, story-driven, cinematic kind of way, so you have all this context and things like that and build up, whereas this is just like, go in, hit the monster. Cool. I don't know. It was fun. I had a good time. I'm looking forward to the expansion. I think the expansion itself is going to be amazing. The new area is awesome. The new monsters are awesome. The fights are awesome. Everything's awesome. But the beta itself is kind of, you know, I take it or leave it. There's nothing, any strong feelings here or anything. But it's a lot of fun. Let me know if you guys have been playing the beta. Let me know if you've been having fun playing the beta. Maybe I'm an outlier here. I kind of just completed each mission once and then just went around and explored a little bit and then was done. If you guys enjoyed it, let me know. If you guys have any ideas of what you think the Iceborne expansion itself is going to be like, let me know about that too. If you guys would like to see more of my face rambling, click that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!